Lethal Company is a fantastic horror game to play with friends, so let's rank every single moon based on how enjoyable they are to play with friends. Picking off D tier, and the worst map in the game by far to play with friends, is Val. Val has an entrance that takes way too long to get to, the fire exit takes forever to get to, the loot pool, whilst slightly better than Experimentation, is quite basic, it has an average weight that is ridiculously high with normally low value goods. The map also it just doesn't feel good to play. I think Val looks ugly, it's easy to get lost, and because it's basically always facility, if you split with your friends, if you don't know how to navigate back, you will get stuck in there. Or they'll die to a bracken, and let's face reality, I don't think anybody truly wants to die to a bracken. Now, I mentioned it when we mentioned Val. Experimentation starts C tier. It is the lowest end of C tier that's possible. Experimentation is just fun to play. If you're playing with friends, chances are one of you is not going to be as good as the other, so you can use Experimentation to warm up, or you can just bring somebody new to the game entirely. Take them to Experimentation, teach them the fundamentals of the game, have a great time. The enemies aren't too bad, the turrets can be annoying, the landmines can also be annoying. The loot, whilst being bad, very easy to get every single bit of it, and the map is tiny. You can basically teach someone everything in just Experimentation. Experimentation is the perfect map for a beginner, but it does get boring after a couple runs. And because it gets boring after a couple of runs, it pulls it down. You use Experimentation for your first run or two, teach somebody new how to play the game, and that is it. So I think C tier is the perfect place to put Experimentation. Now I'm going to round off C tier with Dine. I think Dine is a chaotic mess with a path that, while shorter than Rend, is way too long still for, to be honest, not very great rewards. The power level inside is very, very high. You're going to get at least 2 coil heads every time you play it, as well as a Jester, and I'm going to be honest, that combination ends runs completely. The best thing I've had with Dine, however, is the clip you're watching right now, where I've had to deal with 2 coil heads and I somehow get out of it unscathed. I don't know how I achieved it, but I did. Dine is a chaotic mess with friends. You get one person going fire exit, one person going main if you have 2 people. As long as you know how to navigate the mansion, which by the way the doors point, if they point towards you, main is going backwards. It can be really fun. You meet at main together and you kind of just sweep up the entire thing. There's a lot of loot there. The loot is decently high value. However, I don't think it's better than Rend, which is why it's been placed in the C tier. Kicking off B tier, we have Offense. Now, as a map, I think Offense is awful. It has a really bad design where you need an extension ladder unless you do the pipe jump to go to the fire exit, which is really far away from main. So basically playing with friends, unless you have walkies, you're going to be separated from each other. It has a decent map multiplier. It's larger than Experimentation and Assurance. However, the loot pool is worse than both of them. Now, playing with friends, you are going to want to go for high quotas and goof off, have a little bit of fun. I think Offense is good for the fun aspect when it comes to how chaotic it can be with the amount of turrets, thumpers, coil heads, and mines you'll deal with. Now, coil heads aren't that much of a threat, but the turrets and Offense are a bit of a nightmare. I think, honestly, Offense can be really fun if you play with the right people. However, if you're going for a high quota run, I would highly avoid going to Offense. If you want to be chaotic, go to Offense. Otherwise, stick with Assurance or March early on. Now, rounding off B tier is the company building. I don't even know why the company building is on the tier list, but I'm putting it in the B tier. It's the most middle of the ground place you can go in the entire game. You just sell your quota there. Like, there's not really much to do apart from have a safe space to buy items. It can be pretty fun with friends if you do Bell Roulette. That depends on your friendship group, and if you have someone who's going to be a dick and murder you with an extension ladder. I'm guilty of doing that myself, but, you know. It's funny to do to your friends. Not funny when it happens to you. So yeah, the company building is going to land itself firmly in the B tier. There's only one map in the A tier, and that belongs to March. I think March as a map is honestly fantastic. It's beautiful. You get beehives often. There's 4 ways to enter the entire building. What each of you can spread out, and the map is large, so you are going to separate from your friends a lot. However, that makes it even more rewarding. You meet up with them in the middle, and you have a fantastic time cleaning out all the loot, dealing with the bracken, unfortunately, but you can get so much loot and have a great time on March. Plus, if you play modded and you have push company, oh baby, do you have a perfect place to shove your friends right in the middle where they'll inevitably drown. March can be fun, it can be chaotic, but most importantly, it allows you to get high quotas while still having fun. It lands itself firmly in the A tier. Again, there is only one map that belongs in the S tier. That's going to go to Rend. Now, as a map itself, Rend is perfect. You have the lowest enemy spawns of all the paid moons. It's got fantastic loot. And it's also the go-to moon to go for any high quota runs beyond 4,000. However, playing it with friends, it does get very boring very quick. First of all, you want to stay together and communicate with your friends. You know, do a little bit of trolling with each other if you want to. The fire exit is in the most ridiculous spot ever. These are simplify. You run northwest, going off the ship, until you find a cliff. And then you go down that cliff and then fire exit's just there. However, whilst it's easy again to navigate the mansion, and Rend is the smallest for all the mansion spawns, you can clear out very easy. Now, will you do with Coilheads and the Jester and Nutcrackers? Yes. But I like to think of those as the best challenge possible, especially when you want to kill your friend with a Nutcracker. Who doesn't love a bit of sporadic movement around a Nutcracker to then kill your friend before dying yourself? But you can find the best place to be is Rend. Apart from these 2 maps. And these 2 maps are by far the most enjoyable to play with friends, because one is just very chaotic and the other one is goofy. There are 2 maps in the S Plus tier. One of them is Assurance. Assurance, I think, is honestly the definition of a perfect map. It's small, the fire exit's easy to get to, you can literally jump off the ship and get in there within 8 seconds if you're good at the jump. However, the one thing that holds it back from being the best map in the game is that whilst it can be chaotic, it isn't chaotic enough. Assurance is basically the safer version of offense. Loot pool is very similar. You can get some really good loot out of Assurance as well. However, I think the amount of turrets and mines that have caught me off guard by being within the staircase, whilst being fantastic for the fun factor of my friends not knowing that I'm dead until they inevitably find my corpse, it's just a mess at times, and I think that's what holds it back from being perfect. Out of every other map in the entire game, even playing vanilla, Avoid has some issues with Assurance when someone dies, and it's that their body is stuck standing still, holding the item, and you can't pick it up. It happened to me the other day with the apparatus, and it was extremely disappointing that I couldn't get that sweet 80 credits for the quota. But Assurance, other than that, is literally perfect. If you have a beginner, I'd recommend taking them to Experimentation once, and then taking them to Assurance for the rest of them. Once they learn how to play on Assurance, teach them March. And then once they learn March, start taking them to the expensive planets like Rend, Dine, and Titan. But honestly, Assurance is the perfect map for anybody, even if you're new to the game, even if you're experienced. Assurance is a safe bet to be one of the most enjoyable maps in the entire game. You love it, or you hate it. Titan finishes off the tier list being, in my opinion, the most enjoyable map to play with friends. Why? Trek up there is very short. The fire exit and the main entrance are right next to each other. The map is massive, and that's very intimidating, and you can't clean it out most of the time. However, Titan's loot pool is very constricted. It will be like 5 items in one loot room, and you get 30 items, which is incredible. But the catch is turrets, coil heads. Everything will and can be thrown at you. And that's why Titan's so enjoyable. It's so chaotic, but it's so rewarding at the same time. If you've got a good team, you guys can go into Titan, you can clean it out, you can have fun, you can do a little bit of trolling with the coil heads. You can make Titan the most enjoyable map by far and shove somebody in front of a turret. Is it an arsehole thing to do? 100%. But I think that's what adds to the enjoyment. If a game's chaotic and fun and serious at the same time, I think it's a fantastic mixture. Therefore, Titan is the perfect map to be declared top of the Lethal Company Moon tier list based on how fun they are to play in a group. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed Brainrot Buddies. We will make content whenever we can. We're just a group of friends who like to mess around playing games with each other. If that's the content you enjoy, please leave a like, please subscribe. Go watch the short that came out the other day as well. And I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.